Well, good morning, everybody. I just wanted to show you what the eye makeup looks like this morning, and the lipstick. The lipstick this morning is Stunner. It is again CoverGirl, the flip stick, two-ended one, which I forgot to put in my pocket. That's which is why I always keep some lipstick at the office. Duh. Anyway, the eye makeup was quite simple this morning, but I'll talk about that this weekend, I think. Alright, so it's 5 degrees, pouring with rain. 5 degrees is 41. 5 degrees Canadian, 41 Fahrenheit. I like to think that the C stands for Canadian rather than Celsius. 5 degrees Canadian, 41 Fahrenheit. It's my little thing, you know. So, I had a terrible evening. Well, not terrible. No, not terrible compared to a lot of people. But just very difficult. I went out to lunch yesterday. We had a retired colleague of ours who came back, and we all decided to go out to lunch together so we could catch up. And owing to the fact that I have a garlic allergy, in most restaurants I have a choice between chicken fingers and chicken fingers and chicken fingers. It's about the only thing that most of the time they have very little, if any, garlic in. So, but this was in a Greek restaurant, and their idea of good chicken is to, I think, deeply bread it and then deeply fried. It wasn't just a little bit fried. It was crispy fried, you know what I mean? It was crunchy coating. And that was really interesting. In the afternoon, I got a really serious thirst going. Now, I don't normally drink a lot of water in the afternoon. I must have had, well, you know the size of this mug of mine? Well, while I'm talking about it, I might as well have a quick swig. While I'm talking about it, oh, that was good. I think I had 4 of those yesterday afternoon. Very, very unheard of for me. And then just before I drove, well, actually, as I was driving home, I got what I thought was going to be an upchuck moment, which was not pleasant. So I drove home trying to work out. I mean, I don't mind telling you, I drove home with a plastic bag on my lap, just in case. And not that I wish to be gross at this time of the morning, but it was just my reality. And so, as soon as I got home, I went straight to bed to try and sort of calm everything down, including me. And I didn't even start with the video until about 9 o'clock. Yeah, I didn't even start transferring to yesterday's vlog until about 9 o'clock at night. But the good news is that I feared most did not come upon me, because I was pretty sure that was going to be coming to haunt me during the night, and it didn't. So that was great. So I'm much relieved this morning. I still don't feel quite right this morning. So I don't know what it was. But the interesting thing was, I wasn't the only one that had the chicken tenders, or whatever they called them, and I wasn't the only one gulping water down like there was no more water in the world. The other person was as well, so that makes me think there was something too much salt, too much something in the recipe that really created that. The good news was, I'm fine. It sort of messed with my sleep pattern a little bit because I slept early on and then was up from 9, 10, 11, 12, about 1, I guess. It takes about 4 hours to do all the video stuff. But as you know, I've learned to multitask that. I do the first bit. As that's working, I watch part of a movie or something and then do the next bit and then go back to the movie and then do the next bit and go back to the movie or watch the news or do whatever. You know, I've learned to sort of stagger this. Now, I wish to give credit to all of you who have continued the 10-minute challenge while I've been so badly behaved. And I'd like to really compliment you on that. Manon, I noticed that you've still carried on as well. And I'm pretty sure Jenny Jen has, and probably Leslie. But I have been a very bad role model in this one. And I'd like to apologize for it. I don't have an excuse, because no excuse is good enough. I don't have an excuse for packing on another 6 pounds. I have a reason. I'm eating too much of the wrong stuff. So I've changed. I'm trying to change what I bring to work. I'm trying not to have a big meal at night. In the hope that I can bring this down. It's scary to me. But the good news is, for all of you who have been keeping track, I think it's 422 days that I've stopped smoking now. And that does continue to surprise me, how those days add up. There's no doubt that I really do drive sometimes, and I'm really stunned that I've managed to do this. And again, I will say to you, and I say it to you almost every morning that I talk about this, it's not that I don't want a cigarette. I can assure you that my body still craves a cigarette. When I say it still craves it, something will happen, especially if I get upset. And it's like, I could really do with a cigarette now. And I've just learned to say, no, you used to do that. Now you just need to breathe and get yourself under control. And that's when you realize just how addicted you were. If something was upsetting you, you could go away from everybody else, and boy, everybody else would keep away from you because you were smoking. And that meant you got peace and quiet. And I've often looked at some of the behaviors of smoke when I was a smoker, and I can see they served me very well. They served me very well indeed. I could keep people away at a distance very easily. So it is something that I guess I will one day put a vlog together about it. When I say a vlog about it, I think I'd like to do a timeline on it in terms of what it took, because I realize now that I spent quite a while preparing to quit. Yeah, it wasn't just a month or something. I spent over a year preparing to quit before I did. And for those of you who've never smoked, it probably is really difficult to understand how terrible that addiction is. And for anybody who still smokes, you know, I totally understand. I always used to say, as a smoker, number one, in this day and age, if I'm still smoking, then you know that I'm not a quitter, which was true. And the other thing I always said is, you also know I do not bow to peer pressure. Because if either of those were true, I would have stopped smoking a long time before then. And it's really, the thing I think that surprises me is, I know that I've saved about $4,500 already. Now that sounds like an awful lot of money. And yet, that, without a doubt, was probably the least motivating factor for me. And even now, when I think what it has taken to quit, if you said to me a year ago, well, if you quit smoking, I'll give you $5 grand, I'd go right ahead. I don't think $5 grand would be the figure I would want to quit. Now, if you offered me $1 million to quit, I'd seriously consider it, but I don't think $5 grand would have done it for me. Isn't that interesting? So, for those who are still smoking, I think most people, most groups fall into two categories. One of those that are still smoking and genuinely have no intention of quitting. And that's absolutely fine. And then there are those that are still smoking but would like to quit but are struggling to do so. And that's a whole different group of people. And they're the ones my heart goes out to, because I know what that feeling is like. It's, you know, it's like getting rid of your best friend. So, if any of you would like to talk about it or would like to find out how I did it, just let me know and I will gladly sort of contact you and talk to you about it. Not that I'm trying to make you do it. I'm pretty sure you're an adult, in which case you'll make your own decision. It is pouring with rain today. Oh, actually, as I said that, it stopped pouring with rain. I'm not joking. You've probably been hearing the rain. And then just as I said that, it let up. It's still raining, but it's just not sheeting down like it was. That's funny. It just did that to make me look like an idiot. And it did it so well. I really wanted to thank everybody, all the viewers, who showed such love and support, both for little Max, who got attacked in the face by a Rottweiler. And I really did want to thank you all for the way that you sent thoughts and prayers to Katie for that. Because her grandson definitely did not deserve that. I don't care what he did. But the happy little chap went home yesterday and he looked like he was quite happy sitting in his car seat. Did not look like he was in a great deal of pain or anything. So, although his wounds looked pretty nasty. And then, of course, all of you who sent your thoughts and prayers to support Melanie and Kelsey, I really was so honored to know you all, that you took the time to do that. It was very, very kind. And you did it in different ways, and I really felt the love behind each one of them. So thank you so much for that. There's not much that we can do from a distance, but somehow I think just the fact you care gets into the universe and gets transmitted somehow. I'm a firm believer in that. And then for those that made me laugh yesterday, and particularly Becca. Becca, I burst out laughing when I read your comment. Becca was talking about one of my eye makeup. things, and I think I said, I think you sort of huck it into the, you huck the colour into the middle and spread it around, or something like that. And Becca wrote a little note and said, very technical language here, the huck. Not everybody talks about hucking your eye makeup. But I did burst out laughing, Bex, and I laughed a lot. You know, when I was trying to reply to you, I was still laughing, and apparently I still am. So thank you for making me laugh. Yeah, I guess I do say these things. I'm certain they're right things to say, but why would I say them? You know, I don't do makeup for the perfect people. I do makeup for people like me who are in a hurry. And this morning, just so that you know, I was really in a hurry. Now, the other thing that I haven't discussed recently, and I need to, is that you probably know that I'm busy trying to grow out my coloured hair. You know, I've coloured my hair for many, many years. I'm trying to grow out my coloured hair, and I'm about 3/4 of the way there now. I still have some blonde on the last couple of inches. And I'm still not 100% sure whether I will keep it or not. I watched my 2 retired colleagues when they came for lunch yesterday, and they are well, one is, I think, a year, maybe 6 months older, not much older anyway, and the other one is I really can't remember. I presume that she's about a year older. So, and they're both still dyeing their hair, and they both still look good. So, I got a feeling that the color of my hair might not be as important as the size of my smile. I wonder if you know what I mean. I'm trying to think of people that I know that have white hair, although I don't think I'm going to end up with white hair. My hair's probably going to end up darker than it was before, because I think I'm going to have steel grey hair. Except for the front, which I think is white. And so, but it'll be interesting to see, you know, can that look okay? Or do I, every 3 months or so, need to put some highlights on it just to brighten it up a bit? I don't know, we'll find out when we get there, right? But I reckon 2 more haircuts should do it. I'm very close now. And if I felt really brave, you know, and did a pixie cut, I could do it in 1, but I have no intention of doing that. Don't hold your breath, it's not happening, peeps. So I definitely think we're on our way to spring, because this is, you know, 5 degrees is pretty nice weather at this time. I always reckon that when you get the sucked in rain, that's a pretty sure sign that we're on our way to spring. And of course what the sucked in rain also does is it softens up the ground, which means that it starts waking up the ground, including the weeds. That's a nice thought. Go to sleep, weeds. Stay asleep, weeds. Of course, it also wakes up the grass. Yeah, right. So there are some advantages to winter. You don't have to mow the lawn. You don't have to weed. Actually, it really helps to be a creature of habit. I wonder how many of you are. When I say a creature of habit, something happened yesterday, and somebody had lost something, and they seemed to think that I had it, and I was pretty sure that I didn't. And it was something really important, which made me Of course, the reason everybody thought that I had it was because for years, nearly 25 years, I always did have it. So it was a natural presumption that Sal had it. The only thing was that I had no reason to hang on to it this time. Normally I would have it, and it was an envelope with very important things in it, and I would have kept it in the trailer while I was doing this event in January, because I always have. And then I remembered I didn't have the trailer at this event. I chose not to stay at the event. I chose to go home each day. And then I remembered that the things that they were looking for were things that they could have needed at any time. Therefore, I would never have taken it home with me, because that wouldn't have made any sense. So I then said, well, who would I have left it with? And then I remembered not only who I would have left it with, but who I did leave it with. And I even remembered the conversation enough to quote it almost verbatim. And, you know, it's funny, because if I hadn't been a creature of habit, I would not have been able to process and get that picture back again as to what I had done with it. And it was because I would always look after that particular item very, very carefully. And therefore, I knew what I would normally do with it. What did I do with it at that time? You know, because I knew that I wasn't going to take it off the site. It was really an interesting process, and I thought afterwards, thank goodness I am that responsible, because I would have thought that one through very carefully, and therefore I also would have only given it to one of two people. And it was really funny, because what happened was, as I was trying to write to somebody and saying, and I got as far as I would only have given it to one of two people, then my mind played me back the movie of exactly where I was standing, what I said, and to whom I gave this item. It was really an interesting moment. So I sort of felt a lot better, because I realized I didn't have to go into guilt. I knew that I'd handed it over. Now, it doesn't help, because they still obviously haven't found it, whatever it was, and they're not used to that particular thing going missing, because Sal always has it. So I understand their frustration. Unfortunately, I can't help them this time. So for all of those of you who do have a place for everything and everything in its place, I totally understand the value of that. Alright, I'm on a little section of road where the two lanes go into one, and I had a guy on my right hand side in a cube van. I knew he was going to have to move over, so I left him room to do that, and he couldn't believe that I'd left him space. You could tell the confusion. He was expecting me to speed in front and cut him off. Well, of course I didn't. You are the way you drive your car, people. And in my case, you know that is true. Oops. I love those little oops moments while I'm driving. As I guess some of you will have noticed that every now and then you'll hear oops. And oops normally means it would have been a good idea if I started braking a little bit earlier or something like that. I didn't quite hit the line. But you know me, it amuses me a little bit. Life in general amuses me a little bit. Okay, so the rain's coming back. I see people running in the rain, and I will be one of those people. Oh, isn't that nice? My colleague left me my spot to the right of her car, as we used to do many moons ago before people stole our parking spots. I will thank her for that. That's what I call friendly. Nice person. All right, everybody, have a great day. Thought of the day? Be a creature of habit. It'll save you a lot of time one day, as it did me. Bye-bye for now.